Welcome back, guys, to 3ZZ 92.3 FM, Coptic Youth Radio program. We're very blessed and honored to have with us Father Bishoel Antoni, Director of CYC. And of course, this is going to be our first maiden episode for CYC.
Yep.
Pilot.
Yeah,
the pilot episode.
Well.
Hopefully they get us for another episode,
Yep.
Second episode. We'll just introduce ourselves. My name's Michael Risk, the host, and
I'm Mina El Malik.
and we got
Damiana Gaibi.
we are the group here of tuned in for the Melbourne crew. And today, Abuna, thank you for joining us first.
Thank you.
It's a very blessed honor, and we're very honored to have you as our first sort of guest.
Couldn't be more fitting a winner to have you as our guest.
Yeah,
I know.
we held out. There was other guests that were before you, but we said no, we're not going to record them until you come.
I believe you.
Abuna, we wanted to sort of discuss with you, being as a monk and as also the married life of a man. We wanted to sort of find out the differences or maybe similarities and some sort of the spiritual hardships that both face. And yeah, we wanted to sort of see who sort of has the harder spiritual road. Does a married man have it, or does a monk have it?
Actually, you can't say that because the either the married man or the monk, both they have hard life spiritually. I mean, to reach heaven, it's not an easy thing.
Mm.
There is always enemy waiting for us to destroy our ways or our path towards heaven.
But isn't like when a monk is secluded by himself in the desert or in a really far place, all he has is himself and his thoughts. Doesn't the devil attract him more? And whereas a married man, he's always got all these distractions around him.
No, the problem is it's talents, the talents which God gave to each one. So one has been given 4 talents or 5, and one has been given 1. So if we consider that the married man, because he's busy and have a lot of stuff in his life, and he got only 2 talents, and he has to win and get profits out of these 2 talents, that means he has only just a little time for God and to pray or to take care of it or to fear God in all his work and everything he's doing. This is just little. God doesn't want from him a lot. So according to what he will return, God will say to him, blessed are you, man, come to heaven. But for the monk or a nun, that I believe that they're getting 5 talents. So if they did their best, but not very, very best, and they got 4 talents, it's double what the married man did, but still they're not good. They didn't fulfill the 5 has to get 5 or more.
Mm.
So if he get 4, that means he didn't did his job rightly. So it looks like that he is a double a married man of efforts and prayers, but God might say, no, you didn't give me the 5 talents which I give you.
Mm.
So it's not a matter of how the devil will fight with each of them, because the devil, by any means, he will fight, but he will try with either or to win from both of them. So the person has to be smart and to know that yes, I have a lot of time as a monk, and I have all the situation around me, environment around me, helping me to go to Tizbah every day and raise my heart. I pray a liturgy every day, and make matanis as much as they can. And all that stuff, he will use it to go to heaven. And the most important thing also in the monk's life, that simplicity. Because simplicity is very, very important. So and forgiveness. So I like very much among monks that at the end of the day, they keep greeting each other and said, "Forgive me, Father, forgive me, Father." So everyone said, "Forgive me" to the other one. So forgiveness is very important. Cleanse your heart and purify your soul. This is from one side. On the other side, simplicity. As monks, we are trying hard to live a simple life. So simple life is not judging anybody, thinking about ourselves, not thinking about anything else. You're looking always into your inner, not others, which makes you more simple and simple. And as long as you are simple, you will the unity between you as a simple person and the simple God, because God is a simple soul or a spirit, so it will be easy for you that unity. For a married man, he has a lot of things he has to think about, like his wife, his kids, and if he is doing his best to get himself and his family into heaven, he will win maybe more than a monk. So because of that, you can't say who is harder and who is easier. No, we can't.
You brought up another question, like, how do you know whether you are righteous enough to be a monk or you want to become a monk? Because it's something you sort of say, okay, I want to become that, and then you go for it. But then does anyone say, this isn't for me, and they backtrack out of it? Like, how do you know?
Sometimes it's for sure it's a call. As God called somebody for marriage, called somebody to be a monk or a nun. So this call, every one of us has his own call. But the good thing that to be sensitive to hear your call, not get confused. Because I know some people went into monasticism in a wrong way, and it's not their way, and they got tired, and they make a lot of problems for themselves and others also. And of course, if somebody, his call was monasticism, and by any means he got married, he will regret a little, but because of his responsibility in front of his eyes, he will do his best to live as a monk while he's a married man. I mean, no desires for anything. He doesn't care a lot about the fashion and the stuff in the world, because originally in his heart he wanted to be a monk.
Can you sort of maybe share with us some of the stories that instances or small funny things that maybe have happened while your time as a monk?
Funny? Yeah. Funny things. It's when I was new in the monastery, I was playing with the cymbals. So I was playing with the cymbals in the desert.
Playing, or were you hymning and were you singing?
Because I was trying to learn how to make it very perfect.
Okay.
So I found in front of me a snake. Not very big, but it's a short one, not very long one, and it has kind of two horns, something like that. And it was doing like quail, then a release, quail and release. And I said, wow, it's nice. I know the snakes likes very much the music, so I will make a lot of music until it dance. So while I'm doing that, a guy, and he wasn't a Christian, a worker in the monastery, and I found him. I said, Ramadan, come. I'll show you something very nice. So he came on top of the hill which I was sitting in, and when I show him the snake, he jumped like crazy from the mountain, and he kept running. I said, what happened to that man?
That seems like the normal responsible now.
Yeah, I think everyone
Yeah.
has that
Yeah.
response.
No, actually, he went to the monastery and told them, Abu Nafsho is dead.
He just assumed that was going to be the end
Why?
result.
Because that snake, it was the worst snake ever. It's all poisoned. So when it quailed like that, it jumped towards sound. It cannot see. It's blind.
And you were
So it
playing the
goes
symbols.
towards sound and just touch you. Once touch anybody, within a few minutes he will die. I didn't know, but he knew. When he saw it just a meter away from me, he was sure that I will die. So he told them, Abu Nabisho, he did. So they came with the carrier, and they found me still playing with the symbol. They said, Ramadan said, you're dead. I said, no, I'm not. They said, Ramadan, why you're saying that? He said, I have seen, they call it Tureisha in Arabic. I don't know what's it in English.
Like
So-
a rattlesnake, maybe? Something like that.
No, not rattlesnake, which it is makes ringing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Ah.
not this one. Not copra. Always like that. It's not copra. And so it was. Anyway, the most poison snake ever.
Yeah.
And he said, I've seen that snake in front of him, just a meter. They said, there were Tureisha in front of you? I said, what is Tureisha? He said, a snake with two horns and not long. I said, yeah. And she were quail and jump? I said, she quailed many times in front of me, but it released itself many times, and at the end jumped, yes, but to the other side. They said, you're so lucky, because it comes to the sound, and as we understood, you were making a lot of noise to bring her towards you. So God saved me.
Abuna, can I ask you? I've got two questions. Back to the original topic, and I know you said that the spiritual struggle between a layman and a monk is equal. So what would you say to someone who would argue that, no, it's definitely much harder to be a monk? Otherwise, most people would be monks rather than, laymen or married men. It just seems that perhaps even to make that the initial step to become a monk is extremely difficult, or to even think to live that simple life is way too hard, so people don't approach it. So what would you say to someone that it's definitely harder to be a monk because of that reason? It's much easier to sort of live in the world and sort of just like everyone else continue along that path rather than completely restrict yourself, completely isolate yourself.
This is what I said. You take some gifts and some talents, and you have to deal with it. I mean, I myself, I feel sorry for any married man. Especially I'm so sorry to say that, but when I go from house to house and see how many problems they have, it's really, I'm so lucky. I feel I'm so lucky.
And yet they still
get married.
and yet they still get married.
Exactly.
And I feel like no one seriously considers being a monk, which sort of leads to my second question. So why is it that it's perceived as being so much harder?
It's harder for most of the people. Why? Isolation. It's not an easy thing. Also, to live without partner is something. It's in your body. It's like the desires and in your body. This is created by God in you. So Jesus said some eunuch made themselves for the sake of heaven like that, and some God gave them to be eunuch, and and some that people made them eunuch, which it was in the old time when there were eunuchs in the royals and palace and stuff like that. But those who push themselves to do something beyond nature, yeah, it's hard. It's very hard. But there is very little part in it that God himself is helping the one who is in a right call. So if a monk or a nun or just went into that road, I believe and I have faith and I'm very strong experience that God helping them a lot. It's when it comes to this the normal thing, nature thing. No, they are, thank God, they are. I'm not saying protected 100%, but it's at least you can see God's hand always. And because they are always busy with psalms and tasbih and prayers and working very hard also in the monastery, so they are, at the end they don't think about anything else. So the people find it's very hard to live in isolation and against nature.
Yeah.
This is, and I agree with them. But on the other hand, I believe that I myself, I can't believe myself that I got married. I cannot believe it at all, yeah, because it's very hard. I'm like a bird. What I want to do, I do. If I want to stay in the monastery, I stay. If I want to stay in my cell, I stay. If I want to run in the desert, I run. I'm like a bird. To connect me with somebody else all my life, oh my goodness, I can't do it.
Wow, that's beautiful. Like you simplified it so much. We'll.
I've actually got another question. Can I quickly? It's just because so the second thing that I wanted to ask you, Abuna, was you mentioned earlier that it's a calling. So how can you be attentive, or how can you be more sensitive or listen out for that calling? So if you're a girl who wants to be a nun or a guy, how do you know? Like, is it a conscious decision you make? You know what? I'm going to dedicate myself to the Lord. So therefore, I'm going to try hard to become a monk, because it's, it seems like
no. I believe it comes from as a call. It will increase in your heart the love towards God and towards monasticism itself, and to be alone with God. And I believe monasticism, it's like any marriage, like any normal marriage. So if somebody, a guy loved a girl, so they keep loving each other till the time of marriage. He took her alone in their house and to live together and to love each other. It is the same between a spirit united with God, or thinking about married, the marriage will be spirit to spirit. So you keep the loving in your of God in your heart increasing, and you are eager to be with Him at any time. Whenever you have a chance, you want to be with Him alone. And what I'm saying, alone as a monk. And once you get the chance, you run to the monastery just to be with Him alone in the desert and talk to Him and love Him as you wish, because you are now together. So it's a kind of marriage, but spiritual marriage.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful comparison.
I want to thank you so much. Can you stay with us for our next segment?
Okay.
All right. We'll be back shortly. We're back here on Coptic Youth Radio Hour, Tuned In Radio. Damiana, did you have a question for Abuna?
Yeah, I did. So back to when you were talking about that calling of monasticism, you feel it deep inside you from a very, very long time ago. But I was just thinking, in Australia, we don't really have many, just Australia in particular, we don't have many people who actually go to that monasticism side. So we don't really get many monks and nuns. Like in Melbourne, how many monks do we have? 2 or 3, something like that. Yeah.
And they're not from here, so
and
they were.
So 2 of them are from Egypt, and I don't know where the other one's from. So
we're not producing any.
Yeah, and I just feel like, is it what's the difference between here and say in Egypt, when everyone, a lot of people actually do go to that side of things?
Look, you have to think about 2 things. First of all, the number and the percentage. If we are 15 million people in Egypt, and there is only 1,000 or 2,000 monks and nuns, that means they're nothing. Look the percentage. Here you are all in all around 20.
22, 23 million, yeah.
No,
Oh,
Christians.
Christians
Coptic.
only?
Coptic.
Like,
How many?
I don't know, 40,000 or
It's,
something.
Yeah, 40,
Yeah.
60.
So the percentage, if you see, for example, the in Melbourne, in Sydney, the monastery, they have now around 8 or 9 or 10 monks and a novice, which is very good. This is the percentage. It's okay. This is first. Second, you have to think about that. Here in the Western countries, always they're talking about two things very important in the life of everyone since he's a very little child: money and sex. All the advertisement, all the TVs, all air shows, everything, it goes to two things. That two things, which it makes people, they always getting into I want, and all what they want worldly thing. There is nothing heavenly, because this is the system. The system take them to think about that, and once they put their feet into as if it's the mud, they keep going down, down, down. So it's very hard for them to think about. But still, I believe there is, as God said to Elijah, that still there is 7,000 knees didn't worship Baal yet. So I believe there are a lot of young people, and they are coming more and more, and they will increase. Especially even if the monastery is attractive, but I mean it's very disciplined, spiritual, and they have a spiritual father in the monastery. So the people will run to that because they feel that they can benefit more for their spirituality.
So, Abuna, do you see that happening in reality? So, considering now the 21st century and the fact that everything is so readily available and accessible, and like you said, everything's being marketed, from such a young age at kids' faces, sex and money and everything about the world, and I feel like, I mean, you could argue that initially it was only for sort of the wealthy countries, but I feel like now slowly with the internet, every country has access to everything and anything. Do you still feel, or do you feel that there is maybe an issue, or do you think that we can still produce generations of people who would be happy to become nuns and monks? Because I feel like from where I sit, it just seems like if you told me someone from my class or even my whole school became a monk or a nun, I'd be
Wouldn't
very,
even
very
believe
surprised.
it.
Yeah, I don't think I would believe
It's
it.
a big deal, like very big deal.
Yeah, but the internet and all the Western ideas, and it's in Egypt also. I mean, Egypt very close to Europe. We got the I feel that Australia behind a lot.
In a sense, we are.
Yeah, so it's in Egypt they have a very, very, very strong internet. For example, it's stronger than here, and they have everything on.
We feel so bad about that.
I'm sorry to say, but this is what I experienced myself.
Yeah.
So still, you will find a lot of young people eager to go to monasticism. I think because the environment and the service, thousands and thousands of churches and teaching people how to love saintly life. Since I was a child, I was hearing about the anchorite, all the stories of the saints. It was in my mind one after one. I know when I was 10, I was eager to go to be a monk, and while I was 10, and I was dreaming to be anchorite like Saint Cross and all the saints. Those they went, even some of them were very young. Said, why not me? But here, here it's very difficult. I watched with the kids many things on the cartoon, and I found it's miserable. It's they teach kids bad stuff. If I look to all the cartoon, you'll find bad things, and the kids as they are very innocent, they take whatever they see as it is, and it became part of them. So how you change them when they grow up? It's very difficult. So thank God that there is monks here.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the things happening in the world. Yeah, like that's something we sort of see. We see that so many little monks and so many married men. So we just say, oh, then a monk's life must be harder because the man is taking the easy way out. He's getting married and living life's pleasure, but the monk is secluding himself. But yeah,
No,
they
if you,
both struggle.
if you ask all the married men, they want to be monks.
Thank you so much, Abuna.
Most
Thanks for
welcome.
joining us. This is our first episode for Tuned In. Hope you can have us again for our second episode.
Thank you.
Thanks, Abuna.
God bless you.
Ay,